kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From Brownsburg, Indiana, the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series is living in the shadow of one of our greatest racetracks in auto racing, just outside of Indianapolis. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park, an incredibly exciting stretch of asphalt in the Hoosier State. After a dominant finish last week at Hickory, Anthony Donta looks to ride that momentum wave into week number 9 here and in the Rods Electric 125. I'm Dave Regal here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and I'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, as always, thank you for making us a part of your evening here on Sim Racing Media. Qualifying is underway already, and we're going to take a peek here at Jeremy Bingham in the number 6 machine, that Miller Genuine Draft from Loves Park, Illinois. Multiple feature wins at Sugar River Raceway. And I'll tell you what, as he wraps it up here, he's going to go fastest time right now. Michael Weissman working on getting that P2 slot, if he can, as he gets wound up on his opening lap. We see Weissman coming across the start-finish line And as he finishes that lap, it looks like he is going to go fourth fastest on the timing line. Lots of drivers getting underway here. From Shelbyville, Michigan, Steve Wright. One of the OG All-Pro-Sim racers. As Steve passes here on his lap, looks like we're going to see just what he can handle here. Andrew McLaughlin out on track right now. Kind of an interesting timing line that has been set up. As we see right now, McLaughlin not finishing up just yet. Steve Wright on his qualifying effort. Not able to lay down a time. That's interesting. Curious what's going on there. Bryce Miller going 12th fastest so far here in the 111. A lot of these drivers, as they make their way around the racetrack, are going to really have their hands full. This is not a very heavily banked racetrack, as we see Bryce Miller here in the 111 rolling out of turn number 4, making his way toward the start-finish line, maybe fishtailing a little bit as he crosses. And he is going to go 14th fastest. Rob Nelson in the 99, getting himself all wound up here as he's gone 21st. Of course, our format, as per usual, going to be 28 cars to the feature, 20 of those cars going to make it via qualifying. Then we'll have a pair of heat races, 15 laps each, where the top 3 in each of those heat races will move on to the feature, and then a last chance qualifier, or in racing we call that the consi, going to take 2 from there in a 15-lap consolation race as well. And, of course, then a 125-lap feature race tonight. You know, it's kind of how we do things on the short track. A lot of drivers here in the paddock, if you will, as you can see all of those pit boxes lined up here on your screen. Andrew McLaughlin right now still going fastest here, sitting P1. So right now on the bubble would be Corey Rogers. So he's got to hope that Ryan Smith in the 50 doesn't beat the brakes off of him, as Corey Rogers waiting to see where Smith goes. Derek Kraus now going fastest. That bumps Corey Rogers out of the bubble and shuffles Michael Ostiak into danger. So Ryan Smith wrapping it up here. He goes 26th fastest. Josh Nelms, Jevin Goralski, Cody Brusso, Nathan Kelly, Steve Wright, Randy Sargent, and Andrew Morrissey not going to be qualifying at this point. Qualifying being wrapped up by race control. As you know, something interesting about this league that I've learned is that race control is the final say. You know, a lot of times we hear those arguments back and forth on race radio. That doesn't happen here in the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series. Of course, proud to be with you here. Let's take a look at the points this season after Hickory last week. Alex Papini leading us right now, according to Sim Racer Hub. Anthony Donta and Corey Rogers in hot pursuit. But I'll tell you what, that 1 point difference between Papini and Donta is going to be all kinds of crazy tonight. Of course, we see Papini right now going 4th fastest and Donta 9th in qualifying. So I'm excited to see what these drivers do once the green flag flies in the feature, as those guys get to take a little bit of a break, maybe stretch their legs, get those arms nice and ready before they go elbows up tonight in these late model cars. Dave Riegel here, as always, the voice of the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series, bringing you all of the action all season long right here on Sim Racing Media. Welcome into our YouTube.com live chat. Make sure that you turn on those bell notifications and subscribe to Sim Racing Media. That way you can be notified every time we go live right here on YouTube. Race control giving final instructions to the drivers before the heat races begin. We think here at Sim Racing Media that we may have finally broken the Maginot line, if you will, of how to get our graphics software to agree with heat racing, as we've had so many problems over the years trying to get those graphics to line up. So Kind of glad you may see some hiccups there, but at least we'll have the right graphics and everything not going to look like you're seeing double as if you've had one too many Miller Lights here at IRP. Of course, when we get to the feature race, it's going to be a 10-car invert. So, of course, the top 10, once we go to the feature, going to invert themselves. So Derek Kraus will be starting in 10th. Eric White will be starting from the pole. Of course, they'll have to organize all of that. But 22.48 seconds the fast time tonight as qualifying wrapping up. Just 1/100th of a second separating Derek Kraus from Andrew McLaughlin. So things definitely very competitive on the asphalt tonight. The grandstands starting to fill in here as we go toward race time. 82 degrees in the stands for the fans and partly cloudy skies. So that track temperature suddenly going to have a little bit of cool down time as it's down to 106 degrees. It was 111 during practice. So already down 5 degrees on the asphalt. So that's going to add some grip into this track. And once the heat races get underway, we'll take another peek at those as time is going to be moving forward for each of these races. Hopefully the clouds cool off the racetrack. I want to thank our sponsor, Rods Electric, out there in California. If you are in that area and you have an electric need, you can dial 808-269-7105 for Rods Electric in Encinitas, California. Sounds like it's going to be the top 2 from each of the heat races. So due to the car count tonight, going to be 26 cars to the feature instead of 28 as we were expecting. So an exciting night right here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Dave Regal at the microphone as always, as they got to wrap this up. About 35 seconds left before we go to heat number 1 here at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Derek Kraus, Andrew McLaughlin, Trent Smith, Alex Papini, Jeremy Bingham, Michael Weissman, Willie Nelson, Tristan Swanson, Anthony Donta, Eric White, Garrett Stracata, Danny Mann, Tanner Berg in the 35, Jeff Dillon, Caleb Adrian, Grayson Ward, Bryce Miller, Austin Daymore, Brett McCoy, and Michael Ostiak just barely squeaking in on the bubble. He qualifies with a 22.64 second lap, and Corey Rogers with 22.65, so 1/100th of a second separating the drivers that will have to go to the heat races versus the drivers that are going to be automatically qualified into this race. As we're going to have the first of our heat races tonight. Let's get that graphic cleaned up, if we can so gently. We might see that iRacing information pop up every time, but I'd rather have that pop up for a second as these 8 drivers are going to be gridding up here. Corey Rogers is going to be sitting on the pole, if we can get a good view there of the pole position car. Corey Rogers is going to be sitting on the pole from Medford, New York. He's going to be joined on the front row by Rob Nelson, Gleason Smith, and Jared Sutherland going to be in row number 2, while Jevin Goralski, Josh Nelms, and Cody Brusso would be joining him. But it looks like it's going to be a 4-car heat as Goralski, Nelms, and Brusso not going to be out there. So 15 laps. It's going to be hopefully a quiet 15 laps as we go forward here. drivers just waiting. Of course, now we've got to get everybody in and ready to rock and roll here. As the iRacing.com pace truck going to lead us off of pit road, we see Rogers, Nelson, Smith, and Sutherland. Going to be a 4-car heat, so maybe not too hot for this heat, as it looks like that track temperature has cooled down another 2 degrees now that we've moved sim time to 5:22 p.m. Three drivers still scheduled to make it into the feature, so only one driver going to be eliminated here and sent to the last chance qualifier. So will it be Corey Rogers, Rob Nelson, Gleason Smith, or Jared Sutherland? Your guess is as good as mine. The iRacing.com pace truck leading us around the racetrack on our parade lap. You can see, of course, the fans crowded into the stands. Talk about a little sim racing magic, if you will, as you almost never see the stands that full for a late model stock car race. But regardless, here we see it as we ride along with Corey Rogers, our pole sitter from Medford, New York, riding just behind the iRacing.com pace truck, which takes off and rolls down pit road. Ladies and gentlemen, grab some popcorn, call a friend, settle in as we roll into turn 3 and 4. Corey Rogers going to have to hold his foot just above the loud pedal. We enter the Geico restart zone, and we're green flag racing here at IRP. Corey Rogers with a good jump. He's going to bring along Rob Nelson and Gleason Smith as we introduce you here in the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series to our new little feature here. As you can see, the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Corey Rogers opening up about a 0.3 of a second lead over Rob Nelson. Gleason Smith easily holding off Jared Sutherland right now. And, right with that kind of a distance, you have to start to think to yourself, does Jared Sutherland save a little bit or and make a run here deeper into the heat, or does he hang on and wait for the last chance qualifier, as Corey Rogers just commanding this lead so far, as we're going to ride right along here on the nose of Rob Nelson driving the 99. A pretty good distance, nice and comfortable here, as he does start to gain on Corey Rogers. But to be completely honest, folks, he's in this position. He's got plenty of room behind him before Gleason Smith, so ride around and don't beat up that equipment too soon, as right now the man who really needs to make up some time is Jared Sutherland here in the 19 as he's chasing down Gleason Smith. We're going to all start to watch here as Gleason Smith from Lemoyne, Maine has to defend that third position, which of course would be the transfer spot for a direct trip right on in there to the feature tonight. Corey Rogers really opening up a good lead here. It seems like he's got the 17 dialed in nice and easy as he leads Rob Nelson and Gleason Smith, as the distance between Smith and Sutherland starting to grow. This is that battle for third position. Of course, it says second here in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, but you can see that distance between Smith and Sutherland starting to grow, and that's probably not really what Sutherland wants to see, as he's getting further and further back here as the battle for the lead is definitely not a heat. It's definitely nice and cool. Want to thank everybody for joining us for the Rods Electric 125 here on Sim Racing Media. Of course, Rods Electric from Encinitas, California. Call them for all of your electric needs. Everybody needs a good electrician every now and then, trust me. Gleason Smith trying to close the distance between himself and Rob Nelson, maybe put some real estate, a healthy bit of real estate between himself and Sutherland, as they're now separated by a half second. So we may see this first heat really not be much of a heat at all, as all of a sudden Gleason Smith getting a little bit of a run here on exit out of 4, while Corey Rogers is just out for a nice quiet drive here on Monday night. Of course, I hope everybody had a good time last night tuning in to the season debut of Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series action, brought to you by Stacey Strong and Triss's Hope, as we opened the season last night with the LA Coliseum. And the clash last night was something exciting. Hopefully you all tune in next Thursday for, of course, our Daytona duels. Suddenly in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself that there's something else that I have going on Thursday. I'm not sure what it is. But Gleason Smith deciding to get a little, try to get himself some insurance here between himself and Rob Nelson. With 4 laps to go, Gleason Smith making the pass over Rob Nelson. As that's going to shuffle Nelson into 3rd position, and now puts Nelson on the bubble. And let's see if Jared Sutherland can maybe gain on him with 4 laps to go. Corey Rogers out to a nice, gentle lead. Here in the 17 machine, Gleason Smith running in 2nd, and Rob Nelson now on the bubble in the 99. Jared Sutherland having no luck at all here trying to get this thing underway. As we take a look, there's our race leader, Corey Rogers, all by his lonesome as the popsicle sticks are in the air. We're 2 to go in heat number 1. Gleason Smith and Rob Nelson chasing one another down into 3 and 4. As Smith rolls it out of 4, the popsicle sticks go down, the white flag is in the air, and we are racing back to checkers. Corey Rogers leading Gleason Smith and Rob Nelson here in this top 3 that will transfer automatically over to the 125-lap feature. I want to thank Rods Electric once again as Corey Rogers rolls it out of turn number 4. He can see the start-finish line. The promised land is ahead, and Corey Rogers captures the checkered flag in heat number 1, followed by Gleason Smith and Rob Nelson. Those 3 drivers will transfer automatically to the feature race here tonight. Heat number 2 about to be underway, going to feature Michael Berner, Ed Papineau, Ryan Smith, Rick Ward, Andrew Morrissey. Looks like we will have an all but full heat race here with 7 drivers scheduled to take the, 8 drivers scheduled to take the green flag, but it looks like 7 drivers going to do it. Michael Berner going to sit on the pole position this time. He'll be joined in the front row by Ed Papineau in the 110 from Mackenzie Park, Illinois. Rick Ward going to be featured on row number 2 alongside Ryan Smith. Row number 3 going to have Andrew Morrissey and Nathan Kelly, and starting shotgun in the field for heat number 2 going to be Shelbyville, Michigan's very own Steve Wright. And as mentioned earlier, he is an OG here in the AllProSim Series, so he's racing not only for himself but for the pride. And we see the track temperature cooling off even more now, 101 degrees, so it's just about to hit that sweet spot under these partly cloudy skies. Of course, if you haven't seen it yet, we were originally supposed to be at Rockingham this evening. I made the change in YouTube, but it, for whatever reason, did not update itself. So Just letting everybody know that, yes, we were supposed to be at Rockingham, but here we are at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Proudly sponsored by Rod's Electric outside of Encinitas, California. 808-269-7105. Ladies and gentlemen, grab some popcorn, call a friend, settle in. We are green flag racing in heat number 2. The 9 of Michael Berner holding the low side underneath Ed Papineau, who starts to build that momentum. And Papineau going to ride that momentum right around Michael Berner in the number 9 Hooters Ford Thunderbird, it looks. As Papineau rolls it out of 4, he suddenly snatches the lead. This will be a good race this next 15 laps, 14 to go now. As we see Ryan Smith battling it in here as he sits on the bubble right now just ahead of Andrew Morrissey. Morrissey looking to get in as he's going to take a little bit of a bump here from Nathan Kelly. Nathan Kelly trying to get his way up into this basically hornet's nest of cars, as there are pretty much 4 cars fighting for one spot. 3 wide they go. The 36 of Andrew Morrissey giving chase here in that 3 wide situation. Nathan Kelly deciding wisely to back out and avoid calamity if he can. The 36 of Morrissey now sits on the bubble, and he's being challenged heavily. Whoa, a little bit of a wall rub from Ryan Smith. We're going to take a quick peek at this as we go on back. We're going to see Ryan Smith here coming into turn 1 and just getting a little tight and rubbing that rear end against the wall in 1 on his way to turn 2. Ed Papineau, your race leader, followed by Michael Berner and Andrew Morrissey in the 36. These 3 drivers starting to pull away as Nathan Kelly and Ryan Smith trying desperately to get back up to Andrew Morrissey. After Smith rubbed the wall there, now it's up to Kelly to see if he can maybe suck up to the rear. Papineau not running away from the field as our last race winner did. Michael Berner, though, looking to the inside now of Andrew Morrissey. They've decided to battle it out for second position. Of course, getting into second position kind of allows you a little bit of insurance space. You know, it's kind of like in baseball, we call it an insurance run when you add 1 more there. So, obviously, Andrew Morrissey deciding that he can try to get a little bit of insurance by burying himself deeper in this top 3. While meanwhile, Nathan Kelly just went purple in segment 1, the first half of that lap, and we can see him really whipping around the 28 this time as he hauls it out of turn 4, crossing the start finish line, laying down this time a 22.62. But Andrew Morrissey just led the timing line on this at 22.59 seconds, the fastest lap of the race so far. So things still heating up with now 8 laps to go. Papineau, Morrissey, and Berner, your top 3. Nathan Kelly looking to try to get back in there, but maybe he went a little too much too soon. As don't look now, but Ryan Smith being shoved around the racetrack by Steve Wright. It's almost like Steve says, listen, I can get us up there. We're going to need a few more than the 6 laps that are remaining in this piece. As Ed Papineau being challenged for the race lead by Andrew Morrissey, who has saved just enough of the 36 to put a good challenge here. With 6 laps to go, he gets the run here into 3 as they roll out of 4, though. I'm afraid Papineau's still going to have that muscle as he rockets out of turn 4, crossing the start-finish line, getting credit for leading that lap. Don't look now, though. Andrew Morrissey suddenly deciding that this is the hill he wants to go on. As you can see this side-by-side action right here from Ed Papineau and our roof cam. So these 2 drivers not even close to wanting to give it up. As we can see, it looks like Morrissey is really comfortable there. Whoa! Nearly making contact. Morrissey looking pretty comfortable there in the cockpit. And we'll take a quick peek at him from right here. As caution is out, with Andrew Morrissey going to be our race leader. So let's see what happened with Steve Wright here. Not sure what happened with Steve. Of course, just as I look away from the screen, I see what happens. And it looks like, and we're going to see it right here as we come back to the replay. Looks like Steve just has the rear end of the 61 walk around and he collects the 50, and they try to dirt track it, but Ryan Smith able to hold it together while Steve Wright could not. Three laps to go here in the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series live at Indianapolis Raceway Park. You're watching the Rods Electric 125 live here on Sim Racing Media. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. As we are 3 laps to go, caution laps don't count in this league, so we're going to pause everything right there as the iRacing.com pace truck gets us all racked back up. The iRacing.com pace truck makes the hard left turn down pit road. Now Andrew Morrissey going to have control of the field. He'll be challenged by Ed Papineau. As Nathan Kelly has been bunched back up to the field, the green flag flies and we're back underway. This will be the only green-white checker attempt that we have. 4 cars battling it out for the top 3 positions. As Nathan Kelly is ready to make it 3 wide, he is absolutely ready to get the hammer and tongs out here, a term we don't use often enough. Nathan Kelly edging out Michael Berner in the Hooters number 9. They make the run there. We're going to see that again as Nathan Kelly just shoved Michael Berner down right at the start-finish line, securing his spot there. Oh, and they turn sideways, does Michael Berner. So after a violent shove from Nathan Kelly to edge out Michael Berner, the checkered flag waves. Ed Papineau, Andrew Morrissey, and Nathan Kelly will transfer over to the 125-lap feature. Let's see if we can look at this right before we switch sessions here. We're going to see... Oh... That was pretty good right there. As we are going to go to the consolation race. Oh, and I have confused the bejesus out of the computer now. As we get ourselves gridded up here for the consolation race, Jared Sutherland going to lead us to the green flag this time around. He'll be joined in the front by Steve Wright. Rick Ward going to be starting just behind them. This is kind of confusing as we make it through here. Ryan Smith in the 50 has made it here to the LCQ, as well as Michael Berner. So just 5 cars going for 2 positions here in the last chance qualifier, or the Consi, as we call it inside racing circles. One more time, we're going to keep peaking at this track temperature, 98 degrees. We're just about at that happy. We want to see about 95 degrees on the asphalt. That'll put like almost optimum grip into these tires, and we're going to see some incredible racing once that happens as we move closer to the 125-lap feature. As this The consi going to be 15 laps when the green flag flies. The iRacing.com pace truck still leading us on our opening parade lap. We want to thank everybody for tuning in here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal. This is the All-Pro Winter Challenge Series, and you're watching the Rods Electric 125. Rods Electric in Encinitas, California, 808-269-7105. Call Rod for all the electricity needs that you may have. Everything from changing a single pole switch to getting that three-phase service or the 200 amp service into your house if you're looking for an electrical upgrade. I don't know if they actually do that. I'm just making it up, but I'm assuming that's what they do. Julie Hendricks calling in from Rockton, Illinois. Glad to have her with us as always. Let us know in the YouTube.com live chat who you're pulling for, what you're ready to watch tonight as Jared Sutherland leads us here as they've gone single file behind him. It's kind of an awkward start here. Pace truck makes the hard left turn, and we're green flag racing as Jared Sutherland hits the loud pedal here in the 19. He dives into turn number 1. He opens it up here for Steve Wright. Steve Wright, of course, the OG here in the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series. He looks like he's trying to lock his way right into the 125-lap feature. Ryan Smith and Michael Berner. After what just happened at the end of heat number 2, I kind of have to imagine that we're going to see some fireworks between those two drivers as we get deeper here into this race. And, you know, folks, right here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, we have been watching this season from start to finish and, you know, start to now, that is. And, you know, even though that we had to make this change tonight, instead of being at Rockingham to be here in Indianapolis, I got to tell you, these drivers are incredible to watch every single week. I mean, you know, drivers like Jared Sutherland, Steve Wright, and Ryan Smith, who are the top 3 here right now. Sutherland and Wright would be your transfer spots. These drivers, although this may be the LCQ, and, you know, we may think, gee, they didn't qualify in the top 20, they didn't win or finish in the top 3 in their heat races. When you're able to pair different drivers together with one another, this is kind of the result, really. And it's exciting to watch, especially because now you're watching different pairings of drivers. It doesn't really matter where they qualified or how they wound up in the situation. The point is, we're here now and we're watching Jared Sutherland and Steve Wright lead this piece. Of course, we can see the shadow of the Brickyard just over the wall there as Sutherland getting ready to have to defend that inside quarter panel here on the rear. We're going to go up here to the drone cam, take a look at Jared Sutherland leading this piece, being chased down by Steve Wright and Ryan Smith. Barring any kind of unforeseen calamity, we should see Sutherland and Wright finish 1-2 here. But right now it looks like Ryan Smith and Michael Berner working together here, even though the Berner can't seem to take the hint and maybe just pair up with Ryan Smith and work their way together towards Steve Wright, as it looks like now Michael Berner with a connection issue. But, you know, if you can get yourself lined up behind a good partner, you can work together. But, you know, if you're fighting amongst yourselves, you're not going to make any progress here. And that's kind of what Michael Berner and Ryan Smith are learning. Ryan Smith maybe just trying to get away from him so he can take on Steve Wright on his own. Berner getting loose coming out of turn 4, now looks to the inside and immediately has the door slammed in his face like a never mind. Because we're going to cut that one right there before we offend anybody. I don't need to have it. Oh, they made contact. Berner gets shoved down into the grass. Yee. That's not going to be good in race chat later. As we see Sutherland and Wright leading this piece with 7 laps to go here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Dave Regal here at the microphone in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. You're watching the Rods Electric 125 right here on Sim Racing Media. Of course, just coming off of an exciting finish last night. And I'll tell you what, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love being here in the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series. It's an honor to call these races, but I got to go home for a little while last night and call the SNN Cup Series, brought to you by Stacy Strong and Trisha's Hope. And I'll tell you what, you know, those folks over there, that's where I broke into this industry. And, you know, I couldn't be, I was happier than a pig in his sty, and a pig I am. But, just glad to be back there on Sunday night NASCAR in prime time. And, of course, glad to be with you here on Monday night as we bring you some late model stock car action here from the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Steve Wright looking, maybe he thinks he could go for the lead, but maybe rather than beat the bejesus out of the 61, he decides that it's better off just kind of backing off and letting things cool down here. Three laps to go here as Jared Sutherland and Steve Wright lead this piece. You're watching the last chance qualifier of the Consi. Popsicle sticks are in the air. So we are 2 laps to go here in the LCQ. Steve Wright defending that second position. He's decided he's going to take that nice and easy. Let's take care of the 61. As we roll out of turn 4 one more time, the white flag goes in the air and we're racing back to checkers. Jared Sutherland leads this piece by about 4/10 of a second. And Steve Wright protecting his distance there by just about a second of his own. So looks like right now as the checkered flag comes out, the man in the stand has that flag in his hand. Jared Sutherland and Steve Wright going to finish 1-2 here, followed by Michael Berner, Rick Ward, and Ryan Smith, but Sutherland and Wright going to transfer to the 125-lap feature. While the drivers have themselves a 5-minute warm-up, we're going to take a quick break and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to Lucas Oil's Indianapolis Raceway Park. Dave Regal here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. You are watching the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series. Tonight brought to you by Rods Electric from Encinitas, California. You're watching the Rods Electric 125 here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Of course, we're going to take a quick peek here. 2/3 of a mile around, 96 degrees the track temperature, as we've been watching that go down all evening long. Let's see if we can get see what these graphics look like. Looks like everything transferred properly this time. That's a switch. As we see the drivers getting themselves into the cars. Eric White in the number 6 machine. He's going to lead us to the green flag, as that top 10 from qualifying has been inverted. He's going to be joined on the front row by Anthony Donta from Beecher, Illinois. Tristan Swanson going to be starting on the inside of row number 2. He'll be joined by Willie Nelson in the 025. Michael Weissman and Jeremy Bingham going to be in row number 3, while Alex Papini and Trent Smith going to be the featured drivers in row number 4. Andrew McLaughlin and Derek Kraus get started in 9th and 10th position, while Garrett Stracata and Danny Mann going to be in row number 6. Row number 7 going to feature Tanner Berg and Jeff Dillon, while Caleb Adrian and Grayson Ward going to start 15th and 16th. Bryce Miller and Austin Daymore are going to start in row number 9, while Brett McCoy and Michael Ostiak going to be in row number 10, as Ostiak just getting into the car now in the number 18. Corey Rogers and Ed Papineau going to be in row number 11, while Gleason Smith and Andrew Morrissey going to be in row 12. Row 13 belongs to Rob Nelson and Nathan Kelly, while Jared Sutherland and Steve Wright, just making it in from the LCQ, going to be starting shotgun in the field. So 28 cars scheduled to take the green flag tonight. All 28 drivers in the cockpit now, as Eric White gets ready to lead us off of pit road, led by, of course, none other than the iRacing.com pace truck. Drivers being reminded that we've got 125 laps here, and those 125 laps going to be a long distance. So there's no reason for anybody to get upset early, so to speak. And, you know, realistically, get some green flag laps in. Get a good long green flag run. Get those cars working for you, and, you know, rather than working against the car. As we see the iRacing.com pace truck leading us off of pit road, White, Donta, Swanson, Willie Nelson, and the rest all making their way here, as these drivers have been waiting all night long. After 45 heat laps, 2 heats, and the last chance qualifier, 15 laps apiece, we're ready to go 125 laps of green flag racing here. Eric White, the last car off of pit road. I'm sorry, Steve Wright, the last car off of pit road, while Eric White is the first car behind the iRacing.com pace truck. Of course, we can all tell that it's a Chevrolet Silverado, but they don't want us to say that or know that for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Track temperature has now cooled off to 93, so we've really hit that sweet spot here. We're going to see some incredible grip in the racetrack. That'll make for some really fun racing out here as the pace truck leads us around turns 3 and 4. Turns 1 and 2 one more time. The iRacing.com pace truck making the hard left turn down pit road. Ladies and gentlemen, grab some popcorn, call a friend, settle in. We are Green Flag Racing from Lucas Oil, Indianapolis Raceway Park. Eric White getting a good start over Willie Nelson as they are going to go side by side early here, getting the hammer and tongs out early. And we can see from here right in the middle of the racetrack, Eric White getting a run here on the inside. Maybe a little discombobulated as we go nearly 3 wide. But Tristan Swanson thinking better against it. As after that battle has settled itself out, Willie Nelson going to be the victor for the time being. He's going to be trailed by Eric White and Tristan Swanson as they are 3 wide. Oh boy! That's the 45 of Michael Weissman, the meat in that sandwich as he finally gets himself down to a safe place on the racetrack. Alex Papini having all kinds of momentum. Suddenly Weissman just falling through the field as it looks like maybe he's not happy with the performance of the 45, or he's decided to back off and wait till some things calm down here. Those are usually the smart drivers on the racetrack, as we've seen many times throughout the years. Hey, get out of the way. We've got 121 of these things left. Let's not destroy my car too early and too soon. As Papini goes door to door with the 6 of Jeremy Bingham. Papini working his way past Bingham and now on to Swanson. Tristan Swanson trying to hold his position, but Papini now up 4 positions, one of our biggest movers of the evening, but not as big as Andrew Morrissey, who is up 8, who started 24th and is now running in 16th position. Alex Papini, though, just got his way onto the podium if the checkers were to fly now, but there's 120 of these laps to go yet, so at this point in the race, you're not going to be turning up the heat too soon, if you will. Derek Kraus running in 4th and Tristan Swanson make up your top 5. Jeremy Bingham trading a little bit of paint here with Trent Smith as they are making contact, bumping and banging, and as Darrell Waltrip would say, rubbing his racing, and he wouldn't be wrong at this stage. Riding along with Jeremy Bingham, we now see the 3 of Trent Smith. He makes contact with Andrew McLaughlin, but holds his line here on the bottom. He's not able to swing all the way out to the wall, so he's really got to have good control of that throttle. Moving on through, we're going to take another look here from the rear bumper of the 3. That's Trent Smith looking back there. Now at the 26 of McLaughlin, so MGD down there in the 6 car, and of course Miller Lite here on the 26. As we look back from the 3 of Trent Smith, who gets nearly a rub here from the 26 of Andrew McLaughlin. Now things starting to clean themselves up a little bit, while Caleb Adrian is getting ready for the pitchforks and torches to come out here as he's going to work the underside of Andrew Morrissey. Morrissey dropping back a little while ago, now clawing his way up. He's +9. So after starting in 26th, nearly at the end of the field, has gotten himself here into the top 15. Welcoming everyone into the YouTube.com live chat. I'm Dave Regal. This is Sim Racing Media, and we're glad to have you with us. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. Julie Hendricks cheering on Alex Papini as Scott Kingsman saying, "Go Team Farm," with Andrew Morrissey and Nathan Kelly. And Kingsman wishing that he was racing too. And believe me, there are days where I sit here in the broadcast booth and I really miss, you know, the time out on the track. I mean, I hung the gloves up last year back in July from my career as an SNN Cup Series driver because, you know, here's the thing. I love watching different leagues. I love everything about broadcasting, and the one thing that I found with iRacing is that I love iRacing, but iRacing didn't really love me back as far as being a driver. However, I've really found a nice little niche here as well. Boy, Andrew Morrissey looking to the inside now of the 9 as the 9 and the 6 nearly make contact. That opens the door for Bryce Miller to get around Morrissey as he makes a suave move. See what I did there, folks? As Miller makes a suave move over top of Morrissey. Bryce Miller still trying to fight his way up here just behind Andrew Morrissey and Grayson Ward, as Ward in the 9 car being scored as the 32, still trying to get his way past Morrissey, as Morrissey not even thinking about those two drivers as he's trying to fight out with Jeremy Bingham in the 6. So the MGD 6 leading this little pack of cars. Meanwhile, up at the front, Willie Nelson nice and comfy up here ahead of Eric White, who sat on the pole. Willie Nelson battling his way up out of 4th position. As we see this version of the 9 car, the 129. Uh-oh. Gleason Smith having himself a little bit of an incident, if you will. Gleason Smith here in the 8. We're going to watch him underneath the 510. And that's Anthony Dwarf. Oh, that's not going to be good. Let's take a look here. Not sure who would have been involved there. So we're going to run this back. And as we run it back, we're going to watch the 18 and the 29. And maybe, oh, it happened just ahead of him. And that's not really that good. Riding along here with Michael Ostiak. Ostiak watching all of this unfold right ahead of him as we see, oh, Ostiak wasn't, there was no way he could have been prepared for that, that's for sure. Ostiak caught completely off guard, and that puts Ed Papineau down on pit road, along with Michael Weissman. Willie Nelson going to lead us back to green if he doesn't come down and pit. Eric White, Derek Kraus, Alex Papini, and Tristan Swanson, your top 5. They'll all be leading us back to the green flag. It's 21 laps in the books. We've got 100, just about 105 to go now. If my math is mathing correctly, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I want to welcome everybody into the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth just outside the city of Brotherly Love. You're watching the Rods Electric 125. here on Sim Racing Media. Rods Electric from Encinitas, California, 808-269-7105. Reach out to them for all of your electrician's needs. Or if you're like me and you just don't have enough time during the day to do it yourself, sometimes it's easier to call somebody who has the tools, the time, and the know-how. The iRacing.com pace truck. What's that? Hold on. A little bit of a technical difficulty there. "23 laps in the books as Willie Nelson going to lead us back down. Pace truck makes the left down pit road, and we are green flag racing. Willie Nelson with an aggressive block in front of Eric White, wasting no time at all to protect the lead. He must know that White and Kraus are ready to gang up on him here to try to take that lead away. We can see the battle box, everything in orange right now. That means things are getting hotter and hotter as Derek Kraus looking to get around Eric White, as much of the field suddenly going single file. Many of these drivers going single file, but for a vast majority of them, they've decided that they want to battle it out a little bit sooner, and I can't necessarily blame them, as that was our first caution of the evening. Second, sorry. I'll take 2 cautions, that's for sure. For those of us that see a lot of racing here on the iRacing.com service, 2 cautions in 26 laps can sometimes be a blessing in and of itself, as, more often than not we see many of these leagues turn into caution festivals, as cautions breed cautions. But this league, not one of those groups of people. I mean, here's the thing. For lack of a better term, this league has its stuff together. These people don't mess around. Oh, speaking of messing around. Oh, what a mess. Let's see if we can find where that is here, as Austin Daymore wrapped up in the middle of this. Let's watch Daymore here in the 7. The 177 and the 111 were involved in this. Let's see what might have happened there, because that was not very neighborly. As we watch the 111 of Bryson Miller and the 117 rubbing against one another. Oh, the 111 washes up into the wall, and boom goes the proverbial dynamite. Of course, after 6 cautions in this league, we don't have double file restarts anymore. They will force everybody to go single file. Of course, that a decision from race control. And as I had mentioned, race control in this league is absolutely paramount. Here's the deal. Usually, race control is the thankless job in all of iRacing. In this league, race control is like the sheriff in a small town. And I got to be honest, it's refreshing to not hear anybody arguing with the race control booth. Hey, you want to fight it out after the race, that's fine. You can challenge it all you want. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be their call. When you sit there and you start to argue from the cockpit on race radio, you do nothing but, you're causing unnecessary BS. And that's just something that we don't have to have in this league. They are very organized, and I am every week excited to slide into this chair here and see these guys, because they make it worthwhile and they make it exciting. Lights are out on the iRacing.com pace truck. That means that we'll be going green flag racing this time around. Eric White and Willie Nelson going to have control of the field. Willie Nelson going to have the button, as I've heard so many times, and all of a sudden we're back racing. These drivers not afraid to lay down early here and do it the right way, so to speak, because I'll tell you what, you know, we see a lot of that on the iRacing servers where, you know, drivers wind up, you know, thinking that they can take it 3 wide and suddenly they can't, where you run out of talent or you run out of asphalt, or sometimes a little bit of both. We've seen that too. Watching Tanner Berg here in the 35. He's got his eyes right now on the 3 and the 30, the 3 and the 91 just ahead, as Danny Mann watches on from behind as well alongside Tanner Berg. Danny Mann deciding he's going to stay out of the line of fire for right now. He and Berg in the 35 car just kind of riding around, feeling everybody out, and they're watching whatever the 3 and the 91 were doing, and all of a sudden Tanner Berg able to slide on by in the 35 and snatch away 6th position. .38 laps in the books here in the Rods Electric 125. Rods Electric in Encinitas, California, 808-269-7105. You're watching the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series. Dave Regal here in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth, just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Of course, it may be chilly here in the Northeast, but we've all got our minds on spring training, as the Philadelphia Phillies spring training equipment truck was headed on down to Florida a few days ago. Of course, it's there now, unpacking in Clearwater. And just like that, the 3rd caution of the evening pops on out. This one involving Andrew Morrissey. We'll take a look here. Morrissey here in the 36, right in the middle of your screen. He hooked Stracata and gets himself turned. Oh. It's those cars that come in late that, you know, they thought that they were going to, you know, one says, I'm going to go high, the other says, I'm going to go low, and it never breaks out even for anybody. Beautiful day here at the Indianapolis Raceway Park, just a little bit away from the Brickyard. As you're watching Willie Nelson and Derek Kraus lead this pack around the track, if you will. Just about everybody's still turning laps, 27 drivers not having put it on the hauler just yet. As Michael Weissman's still out there turning laps, getting things done. as we get ready to go back, green flag racing, going to be Willie Nelson once again leading us to green. He'll be joined by Derek Kraus, Alex Papini, Eric White, and Tristan Swanson, your top 5. Willie Nelson, I don't think it's that Willie Nelson, but it is what it is. Has a long history in this league, and at least this season, it's a familiar name that we all hear. And we're just glad that he's able to get out here and make things happen. Every point counts this season. Right now, Alex Papini leading us in points with 434. Hot pursuit, though, 1 point out of first place is Anthony Danta, Corey Rogers, Tristan Swanson, Michael Ostiak, Jeremy Bingham, Scotty Gardner, Brett McCoy, Willie Nelson, and Tanner Berg, your top 10 in points right now. And, you know, from 10th all the way up there to 34th, less than 100 points. So, you know, a good finish tonight from Nelson could really bump up his championship point standings there and definitely leapfrog several positions as the iRacing.com pace truck lights are out. That means this time by we'll be going back green flag racing as we pass by all of those haulers just outside the racetrack. Nelson getting ready to unleash the beast as he's going to be here on the low side, waiting until he comes into the Geico restart zone. He hits the loud pedal and we're back underway. Nelson getting a good jump over Kraus this time, but side by side go Tristan Swanson and Trent Smith. Back here in the 91, the 3 of Trent Smith starting to creep in here over top of Tristan Nelson. And, you know, there's a lot of speed down there in the low side, but unless you're able to swing it out there to the wall, the low side doesn't very much matter. It may be the shortest way around this racetrack, but it's not the fastest as far as speed goes. And the momentum that you gain from going from the bottom of the racetrack and then letting your car naturally drift up to the high side, that's usually pretty incredible. And if you're not able to do that, you're not going to have that same momentum to be able to swing it out and get business done. Taking a look just behind Trent Smith, Danny Mann side by side going fender to fender right now with Tanner Berg. They're battling it out. That's for 7th position. And nobody looking like they want to try to give anything up here at this stage in the race. We'll go right here to the chopper, and you can see them all but drag racing down the back stretch here. As Tanner Berg in the 35 gets a little bit of a nudge here from Danny Mann. Danny Mann trying to muscle his way on past the 35 of Tanner Berg. We see now nearly, making contact. Tanner Berg trying to hold him off. And I don't think we're going to see it just yet as we're going to go riding along with Tanner on the helmet cam. They are rubbing fenders all down the back chute coming out of turn number 2. We can see just how little amount of space there is for Tanner to move his head here as he can keep his eye on Danny Mann just ahead of him. And you can see that car a little loose for him, and maybe he's figured out that loose is fast indeed. So all kinds of excitement there for Trent Smith as they finally go single file and decide that they're going to work on one another one at a time instead of 2 for 1. Whoa! All of a sudden, the 6 getting shoved up the track. Let's see what just went on there. Going to keep an eye right here on the 6. Oh, he got shoved out of the way by Steve Wright. And boom went that proverbial dynamite. As we're going to see one more time here. The shove from the 61, not any clearer than that, that's for sure. Derek Kraus going to lead us back to the green flag. When it flies again, he'll be joined by Willie Nelson, Tristan Swanson, Trent Smith, and Danny Mann, your top 5. Tanner Berg in 6th position, looking from the outside in at the top 5. Gleason Smith and Brett McCoy in 7th and 8th. Andrew Marcy in 9th, and Ed Papineau rounds out your top 10. Tonight's race brought to you by Rods Electric from Encinitas, California, 808-269-7105. Check out Rods Electric as we are having the Rods Electric 125 right here at the Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. Of course, a little bit of a schedule change. We were going to be at Rockingham over in South Carolina, and at a later, I don't want to say last minute, that's for sure, but later than usual, a little bit of a schedule change. No big deal. I changed it in YouTube, but for some reason it didn't take, and I don't know if it was just from the link itself being shared or what the deal was, but unfortunately, YouTube's still telling people that we were going to be at Rockingham. Sounds like iRacing handing out a black flag to Steve Wright for some reason. According to Race Radio, it just sounds like it's an update problem that Steve Wright fell victim to there. Want to welcome everybody into the YouTube.com live chat and let us know who you're pulling for tonight. Of course, Julie Hinrichs already cheering on Alex Papini in the 39. Scott Kingsman also being heard earlier, cheering on Team Farm with Andrew Morrissey and Nathan Kelly. So as we get ready to go back green flag racing, we see Derek Kraus and Willie Nelson as Derek Kraus just shot ahead of Nelson. These drivers, it's almost like they're not even driving cars, they're driving rocket ships. We're going to take a look right here at the dashboard of Derek Kraus. Derek Kraus hauling it into turns 1 and 2 at 117 miles per hour. I'm sorry, into 3 and 4 at 117. As he gets himself wound back up, he gets to 118 before 1 and 2. Trent Smith being involved in something. We'll find out what the deal is. Let's see what the deal is, Kenny Schrader, as Trent Smith here in the 3 car getting hooked and sent around. Whoa, my. That is going to be an angry race car driver. We're going to step aside here and take a break as the drivers get to stretch their hands out one more time. I'm Dave Riegel in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth live outside of Philadelphia, and you're watching the Rods Electric 125 here on SRM.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second spot, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh my
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Raceway Park, where Derek Kraus is currently the Pied Piper of Indy, as we see him leading Willie Nelson and Tristan Swanson, your top 3 right now. You're watching the Rods Electric 125 right here, as we have gotten to the feature race. Almost 70 laps in the books. If you looked up there at timing and scoring, sometimes it seems like we lose track of that, and believe you me, I nearly did. About 30 laps away from hitting the century mark, as Danny Mann in the 110, in the 010, I should say, working his way up here to that rear bumper of Tristan Swanson. We're going to ride along with him here on the nose. And I'll tell you what, Danny Mann's starting to look for any kind of an open door that he can find to get himself around Tristan Swanson. We can see him setting himself up to the inside, and it seems like he's getting a good run here on entry. Maybe it's time to use some of those tires up, as that's exactly what's going to happen as he draws in closer and closer to Swanson in that Camry. Meanwhile, Grayson Ward here in what should be the 32, running the 9. He's being chased down by Andrew McLaughlin as he's looking to get around Ed Papineau, maybe digging himself deeper into the top 10 is Grayson Ward. Grayson Ward starting to see light at the end of that tunnel. Nearly 50 laps to go here. at Indy. And just like that, Ed Papineau allowing Grayson Ward on by as he's going to be shoved along by Andrew McLaughlin in the 26. Fender to fender, they go down the front stretch and into 1 and 2. Grayson Ward battling it out with basically no gloves on against Ed Papineau, and now begins the battle for 8th position as Grayson Ward going to be duking it out there with Andrew Morrissey. Papineau, meanwhile, still dealing with lots of traffic on his low side. Nearly 3 wide for the 6, but we managed to keep things under wraps. Kraus, Nelson, Swanson, Mann, White, Pepini, Berg, Ward, McLaughlin, and Morrissey, your top 10. Watching Jeremy Bingham right now in the 6 car. He's got a run on Gleason Smith, and he's going to bring along Trent Smith. So Bingham between a pair of Smiths. Bingham still looking to get around, unable to do so. Andrew Morrissey now dropping back here to hold off Jeff Dillon in the 52. And now Jared Sutherland, who made it in from the LCQ, going to be shoved along by the lapped car, the 17 of Corey Rogers. So we're going to start to see these lap cars maybe continue to push their way forward as Rob Nelson in the 99 going to be the last car on the lead lap. 80 laps in the books, about 45 to go from here as we look at the 45. That's Michael Weissman on the low side, the 52 of Jeff Dillon, while Ed Papineau holds on to 10th position. He's holding back Gleason Smith as he wants to, desperately clutch to that top 10 as we work lap 81, so officially 40 to go now. As Ed Papineau in the 110 still looks to get his way around Andrew McLaughlin. Clayton Story cheering on Tanner. So, Clayton, glad to have you with us here in the YouTube.com live chat. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to Sim Racing Media and turn on those bell notifications so you can be told every time we go live on SRM. And, I'll tell you what, SRM is one of these organizations that you're, going to cross paths with on the iRacing.com servers. And when I say family, I genuinely mean that. Every year we're able to go down to Miami, Homestead, Miami. I was able to go for my first time this year. And, as a group, and it's neat to be able to take the iRacing community and shrink it down to real life. Because on iRacing, the world is huge, and you can make the miles disappear from car to car, whether you're in Rockford, Illinois, or, Jacksonville, Florida. Or if you're from Jacksonville, Florida, and you're racing against somebody from Westendorf, Austria, sure, those distances are made up digitally, but when you're able to take away the computer screens and you're able to take away the distance and all be in one place at the same time, it is such a cool dynamic to watch, and it's something that we get to do every year here for Sim Racing Media, and I can't wait for this year's trip. I know many of us are counting down for it. That's for darn sure. Of course, I'm looking forward to the trip to see Father Frank Marchese, of course, the voice of ISNF, as hoping to get a chance to go out there to the Golden State to finally shake hands with him. And if there's one thing that iRacing has taught me is when you get to know somebody on such a personal level here, never miss the opportunity to shake their hand. You know, the late, great Tony Trapasso, who was became a very dear friend of mine here on the iRacing servers, and of course, my teammate here at SRM. He and I were never able to shake hands, and when he tragically passed away this past fall, it really sunk in that, you know, I would never be able to do that again. As it looks like Andrew Morrissey may be crashing. Let's see what happens here with Morrissey. Morrissey running the extreme low line and disappears. So Andrew Morrissey with kind of a weird connection issue. Derek Krause leading us here on lap number 94. He's got the 129 scored as the 9. Just about 3/10 of a second over Alex Papini as Papini and Eric White chase him down. You can throw a blanket over those two drivers as they are just pulling away from the field, about 1.22 seconds away from me. And I'll tell you what, folks, or not me, but Eric White. And I'll tell you what, you know, as you start to see some of these gaps extend, you almost hope for, you know, a caution just to get yourself, you know, bunched back up. And with 96 laps in the books, we're 30 to go now. Of course, the only NASCAR series to be here anymore at this point in history is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They were here from 95 to 2011 and then took an 11-year break and came back in 2022. The ARCA Menard Series, of course, has been here from 83 to 85, then 2011 to 12, 2014 to 2020, and now 2022 and beyond. And hopefully we get to see a lot more of these tracks. And speaking of the caution I was just thinking about, there it is, as that's going to punch him back up and get Tanner Berg back here with the race leaders. Now, this being the 6th caution, that means that the rest of the way we're going to be single file restarts. As you know, don't get me wrong, restarts have not been a problem tonight. It's just it happens to be the league rule, and rules is rules, and you don't want race control to come after you. That's for sure. "25 laps to go here as Alex Papini and Eric White get ready to start, well, to restart single file. Looks like we had wholesale pit stops here, as everyone from Derek Kraus on back through the field came down for pit service. That leaves everybody from Alex Papini back through Ed Papineau, that top 8, kind of like sitting ducks out here, as Papini hasn't been down pit road since lap 54, McLaughlin not since 43. So that'll make things interesting as the fresh tire brigade is going to start marching forward, goose-stepping all the way, and trampling lots of these drivers on their way back to the front. And it's one thing that we're going to watch here. In fact, we might even watch this restart here from the 99. I'm sorry, from the 129. Is everybody going to get bunched back up here with 23 to go? The iRacing.com Chevrolet Silverado Pace truck getting ready to dive back off this time by. Alex Papini in the number 39 Baja going to lead us back to green. Like I said, we're going to be watching Derek Kraus here in 9th position as those top 8 did not come into pit. We go back green flag racing. Let's watch Derek Kraus just serve lunch to Ed Papineau, as he's going to be the first to drive himself back to the front of this pack. We can see Kraus just getting some heat into those tires, and all of a sudden he is able to rotate the 9, getting all the way down nearly to the grass, swinging out to the wall. That's a lot of speed and a lot of power, as he's now going to start to wedge himself underneath Jeremy Bingham. Here goes Bingham as Kraus works his way back to the front of the race. Kraus now around Bingham. He's going to bring in tow Tristan Swanson, as Swanson in the 91 makes contact with the 6 of Jeremy Bingham. But Bingham doesn't want to spill that MGD, that's for sure. Gleason Smith, now the next victim for Derek Kraus, and Kraus just making it look easy here on these fresh tires. We'll take a look here at the pit strategy, and we can see that top 5, 52 laps, 52, 45. So the freshest tires in that top 5 belong to Tanner Berg, who last came down Last came down lap 61. And then just behind him, somehow holding his own, is Andrew McLaughlin. My God. As McLaughlin getting ready to take P2. He's on the oldest tires on the track, and he is able to get his way into P2. So obviously, he learned something about the grip in this racetrack and the rubber on these tires, as he's able to make that thing still boogie with so many laps, 47 now on that set of tires. Taking a look here at some other information about Lucas Oil Speedway. Of course, the Dodge SRT and NHRA U.S. Nationals have been held here from 1961 up through today. We also get to see the USF Pro 2000 Championship. So a lot of cool racing getting around here. And, you know, even the SCCA Formula Super V qualifying record is held by Mark Smith. Jason Leffler has the USAC Silver Crown Champ Car Series qualifying record. The Truck Series record is held by Joe Ruttman, while the Xfinity Series is held by David Green. "15 laps to go now as we start to work deeper here. Eric White in probably, let's see now. Wrong one. There we go. 57-lap-old tires still holding off Derek Kraus. And Kraus now getting ready here to make his move to the lead as he looks to the inside of Eric White. And Eric White is just no match for the new tires on Derek Kraus's machine. However, I say that with my tongue in cheek because it looks like Eric White still has a little something left in the tank, even with the oldest tires on the racetrack. 12 laps to go here at the line, as the flagman's not sure if he's going to have to throw a yellow, a white, or a caution at this point. Once again, a little three-car pack here. The 010 of Danny Mann leading Jeff Dillon and Grayson Ward. Derek Kraus crawling back up into the lead. He brings the fresh tires of Tristan Swanson along, so they can pretty much defend the lead there. Tristan Swanson with 10 to go still hasn't made a move like he wants to get up there and lead. So curious to see what happens here with the 91. As you know, I can't say that I remember him from last year. If I did forget him, I apologize. I want to thank everybody for joining us on YouTube.com in the YouTube.com live chat. Sam Hesketh giving the old yee-haw, let's go. Sam, if you want to slide on in here, I'll be more than willing to let you hang out for a few laps. Six laps to go now as Derek Kraus still leads this piece in the 129. He's leading Tristan Swanson in the 91. As Derek Kraus is basically just out here logging laps for the next 5. 22 seconds, the best time for him, 22.17, as he has clawed up 9 positions to be where he is leading this piece. As we look around the rest of this running order, Ed Papineau, the other big mover, with plus 10 on the night, so starting in 22nd and getting himself up to 12th. Papineau still trying to get himself back up into the top 10. Danny Mann, meanwhile, here in the 010, he's running in 4th position, up 8 from where he had started back in 12th. All of a sudden, he's got a little bit of company behind him in the form of Andrew McLaughlin. But with 3 laps to go, it looks like Derek Kraus and Tristan Swanson, you can throw a blanket over them. The only competition left on the racetrack going to be Willie Nelson and Danny Mann. As Danny at this point looking to the inside, looking to the outside, he's trying to find a way to get on the podium tonight as he chases Willie Nelson down here like Willie Nelson owes him lunch money at school. They go fender to fender as the popsicle sticks go in the air. We're 2 to go. This is a battle for 3rd position, and it all comes down to this for the podium. With a run into turn 3 goes Danny Mann. He is now side by side with Willie Nelson, makes the pass, does not finish completing it though. As we cross the start-finish line, the white flag is in the air, and they are racing back to checkers. Danny Mann trying to hold things together with Willie Nelson and finish ahead of him by literally a nose of this car. We're going to see this as we come out of turn 3 and 4. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? It comes down to Danny Mann and Willie Nelson, and at the line is Willie Nelson. And they wrecked just past the start-finish line. Derek Kraus captures the checkered flag here at IRP. He's joined on the podium by Tristan Swanson and Willie Nelson, who is now the proud owner of a Scar and probably a quick trip to the Infield Care Center. Just waiting to see when these top 3 drivers are going to come in. It's going to be Derek Kraus, Tristan Swanson, and Willie Nelson coming to visit us here in the broadcast booth. Derek Kraus here celebrating here on pit road. Just waiting for Derek Kraus to come on in here. So this time we'll go 3, 2, 1. Going to start off with Willie Nelson, driver the number 25. Hey, Willie, it's Dave up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Yeah, I got it. Hey, man, listen, great run tonight. I mean, you wind up door to door with Danny Mann here on the final lap. I mean, you saved just enough for last to get past him. Congrats, man. We'll try that again. Hey, Willie, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me again.
Yeah, I got you.
A little bit of a technical difficulty as I had Discord set to be elsewhere. But listen, you saved the best for last, coming across the start-finish line, fender to fender, with Danny Mann. I mean, take us through that last lap, and were you planning on trying to save enough, or, was that just the way things fell?
I think that's just kind of the way things fell, honestly. But it feels nice to finally get a top 3 after 9 rounds of this.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you go 1 week, 2 weeks, and that's fine, but all of a sudden that slump kind of gets you discouraged going into week number 9. But you managed to pull it off tonight here at IRP. Now, I know that our schedule changes coming up here, and as we get deeper into the season, what are you thinking as far as how we're going to go about facing now next week Thompson Speedway?
Well, my strategy so far has sucked. try to play it conservative and be patient with tires and stuff, and then come in late. But it appears I just got to be aggressive from start to finish and just handle it more aggressively, I suppose.
Yeah, the heat system here in this league is incredible to watch. I mean, you get to, first off, the guys are able to transfer right here to the feature. They kind of get to take a break, but then if you're in the heat and you don't make it because, you're in a tough heat with a couple of strong drivers that just missed the cut, you wind up battling in the consi. And before all is said and done, you get to see everybody's race skills come together. I mean, it's a great way to see this racing.
Yeah, like for sure. You see like certain guys in a heat race or a constellation, and it really shows like the competition level here. It's a lot of talent in this league, and it's pretty fun. I mean, obviously with tight talent comes tight times, and that becomes a car on top of car and lots of wrecks. But there's a lot of good talent in this league.
Yeah, competition being tight is an understatement, considering that the distance between pole position from qualifying and second position was 1/100th of a second, and 20th and 21st in qualifying was separated by 1/100th of a second. So, I mean,
that seems normal.
Yeah, it's incredible. I love watching it, man. I do. But before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank for this run tonight?
Well, I want to shout out, obviously, the guy who sponsored this race, Rods Electric, and, give a shout out to my pops for running this, and Alex Papini for putting it on, And, of course, I got, all my sponsors, real life and virtual, America's Gunsmith Shop, JK Mako Tools, Custom Comfort, just 5-star race car bodies, Wagner Automotive, just all those real life sponsors helping out, and, can't appreciate it more.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations. We'll see you next week at Thompson, bro.
All right, for sure. See you.
And next up here on the podium, finishing in second tonight, Tristan Swanson, who captures second position here from Newmark, Minnesota. Super late model driver and winner. So, Tristan, congratulations on the P2 finish. You pretty much had a blanket over you in the closing laps of this race.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just strategy didn't really play out the way we wanted it to. Should have took tires a little bit earlier than what we wanted to, but yeah, I mean, by time I got into the open, Derek already had a pretty good lead, and he was pretty good all day today. So I don't know if I even would have got to him. So shout out to him for the win and the strong run that he had.
Yeah, it's incredible when I get to watch you guys. I was, just saying to Willie that, the format in this league is unique. It's exciting to watch. A lot of times I get to just see, hey, it's qualifying, and then all of a sudden the race. But to be able to watch some of the mixing and the matching of the drivers between the heats, the consi, and of course the feature is really incredible. I mean, I get more excited as I wrap my brain around heat racing every week when I come in here. So, congrats on the P2 finish. I mean, so you took tires a little late, but the lap 99, what are you going to do? You and Derek pretty much just drove through the pack.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely helped us a lot getting those tires at the end there. I just think, I think with that single file restart, there was just kind of a follow train pursuit to the front with him. I knew it was going to be harder to get around him since he was quicker than me already. And so the strategy was just to follow him to the front.
And that's smart racing on your part. I mean, more often than not, you sit there and you try to get yourself a little bit over-aggressive and you make a mental mistake. But to have that mentality of knowing, hey, listen, I can't chase this guy down. Let me just follow him to the promised land. Here you are on the podium in Week 9. Next week, we go to Thompson for some more short track racing, so I'm excited about that. Before I cut you loose, who do we need to thank tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Just always got to thank Elite Performance Industries for always giving me a fast race car every week. Justin Brooks Designs for always making it look pretty. And, of course, my girlfriend for allowing me to do this every Monday.
Everybody always needs to tip the cap to the girlfriend for letting them do this goofy little thing that we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Just as a side note before I let you go, it's one of those situations where when you go to the racetrack and you say iRacing, everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's great. But then when you're trying to explain to a girl of the female persuasion, this is what I do for a hobby, she kind of looks at you and cocks your head like a confused dog sometimes, I swear. And, so yeah, we do have to thank our partners there at home for putting up with our crap.
Yeah, for sure. She actually loves watching this, so she tunes in every Monday night to watch. So she enjoys it.
Excellent, excellent. All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations. We'll let you go, and we'll see you next week at Thompson.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, folks, another one in the books here, as Derek Kraus not able to make it here into the Discord for reasons I'm not quite sure of. But, I want to thank everybody for making us a part of your evening here on Sim Racing Media, because without you folks at home, we'd have no one to talk to for these, just over an hour. And, I got to be honest, it's exciting to see some of these drivers, week in and week out, especially the ones that early on in the season, they're trying to find their way through the field. And then, of course, as we come in here to the meat of the season, really turning it on and really developing as race car drivers, whether in real life or in the sim, it's neat to watch people develop. So congratulations to everybody tonight who made it to the checkered flag, but especially Derek Kraus, Tristan Swanson, and Willie Nelson for capturing the podium finishes. So before we get out of here, we want to take one quick final look here at the feature results. Derek Kraus brings home the checkered flag. He's joined by Tristan Swanson and Willie Nelson on the podium, while Danny Mann and Andrew McLaughlin round out your top five. Andrew McLaughlin finishes in, Jeff Dillon rounds out your top five. Andrew McLaughlin finishing in sixth, while Eric White, Tanner Berg, Grayson Ward, and Garrett Straccato make up your top 10. Jeremy Bigham and Ed Papineau finish 11th and 12th, while Alex Papini nets 13th position. Corey Rogers brings home 14th place honors, while Rob Nelson rounds out the top 15. Gleason Smith and Brett McCoy finish 16th and 17th, while Steve Wright and Jared Sutherland finish 18th and 19th. Michael Weissman makes up the end of the top 20, while Trent Smith comes home in 21st. Andrew Morrissey and Anthony Donta come home here in 22nd and 23rd, while Bryce Miller and Nathan Kelly come home 24th and 25th. Austin Daymore comes home in 26th, while league perennial Michael Ostiak finishes 27th, and finishing up the field after just 27 laps is Caleb Adrian in the number 29. So an exciting night here in the Rods Electric 125. I couldn't be more excited as we get ready to go to Thompson Speedway next week. So tune in for more short track racing here on Sim Racing Media. Of course, always going to be here on a Monday night in the AllProSim Winter Challenge Series. I'm Dave Regal here at the microphone in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. And tomorrow, as you go through your day, remember, you're special, you're unique, and you're the only one like you. Good night, everybody.